All right, family. Happy Friday. Welcome to Chillin with Saree. It is Friday, June 5th. I'm super happy and grateful to have you guys all on the line with me tonight. As usual, we are going to start with a little bit of mindset, and then we're going to go ahead and open it up for anybody who wants to share, whether that's something positive that's happened this week or if you need a safe space to be able to vent, you could do so here tonight on this call with our family. So I am going to go ahead and get my screen shared. Bear with me 1 second. I decided to get a little fancy this week and got a little PowerPoint presentation for you all. So I hope that you guys are able to find some value in tonight's call, and let's get it. So let's see. Security, share screen. Perfect. So we have, again, our Chillin' with Saree session. I'm super grateful to have not only our Forever and Profit family here with us tonight, as well as our Team Guapo family. So welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. Ultimately, my goal is to be able to, again, just provide a safe space where, our family can have a place where they could come and share positive vibes, as well as have an opportunity to vent, as well as share value with everyone. So for tonight's call, I actually wanted to go ahead and go with a no permission needed theme. And so that is going to have more of a focus on not needing others' approval, not seeking others' approval, and just ultimately being yourself. So if you were here with us at the beginning of the call, even though Future might not have been the most best song choice, Mask Off is kind of what I was going with that, as far as just taking your mask off and being yourself. So let's get started. So, of course, sometimes it could seem like, our happiness depends on others. And I know that for me, that is something that I am still working towards improving on, and something that I'm developing, that I don't necessarily need to find or seek my happiness in others in order for me to be happy. Before we continue, is there anyone else that can relate? If so, go ahead and drop a 1 in the chat right now. Right? Meow. So again, rather than seeking approval from external influences, whether that's people, whether that's what you're seeing on the TV, you want to try to find happiness by developing a more stable relationship within yourself. Now, of course, we have to take into consideration, whether we choose to acknowledge it or not, the desire for validation is actually one of the most driving forces when it comes to motivation. A lot of us, for example, for me, when I made the decision to go to college, to be honest, I didn't want to go to college. I know ultimately we're conditioned that, once you graduate high school, that college is the next place that you're supposed to go. But again, just being transparent with you all, that wasn't necessarily something that I wanted to do. But with me being the eldest of my siblings in my family, and having elders in my family that didn't necessarily graduate from college, I felt that that was something that I needed to do in order to please my parents. And of course, for me, my mom, her approval was something that really meant a lot to me. And so, of course, I was willing to go through with that to make her happy, even if it wasn't something that I necessarily wanted to do. So, just quick backstory. When I actually made the decision to move out here to California, I was still in college. I was in my last year of college. So I still had credits that I was seeking to complete so that I could get my degree. I was already a little disappointed just because I had started with a focus on music, and due to outside circumstances, it didn't necessarily work out for me to continue that path as far as continuing with voice as a major. So decided to take on nonverbal communication as a major. And I know that for me, it wasn't something that, again, I was happy with. So when I came out here, did this whole acting boot camp and everything, and made the decision that, I wanted to move out here. The funny thing is, I was in a relationship at the time, and his approval wasn't as important to me as, getting that approval from my mom, just because, again, I hadn't finished school yet. And so when I talked to her about it and just let go and let her know how I felt and what my thoughts were, I was nervous as all get out. You guys, I literally wanted to cry just because I didn't want to disappoint her. And when she told me that if that was what was going to make me happy, not her, not my grandma, not, my boyfriend at the time, then she supported me. And I just felt like this huge weight come off my chest, just because, again, I was proceeding with something that I wasn't initially happy with, aka college, to make her happy. But at the end of the day, she let me know that I didn't need her approval in order for me to be happy. So, you guys, just I want you to understand that on a deep emotional level, feeling approved, especially by those that we love and care, kind of creates that security within ourselves, as a person. Just because a lot of us, I know, especially for me, I don't like conflict. I hate having uncomfortable conversations with people because I don't like conflict. And so when you have somebody that you're trying to please, and they're giving you the thumbs up and showing that they're happy with your decision, then it, of course, it makes you feel good about yourself as well. So it kind of creates that inner peace, um, and it just makes you feel really good about yourself. Now, I want all of you guys to think back to when you were younger. If there was somebody that you looked up to that you wanted to seek approval from, if you guys want to go ahead and drop that person in the chat, whether that's like actually their name or just the relationship that you had with them. I know for me it was my mom. I had a mentor that really meant a lot to me, just because I admired his work ethic and all of the values that he had. And so my mentor, Idris, he was somebody that I truly looked up to and seeked, having his approval. Now, keep in mind that because usually when we're younger, sorry about that, you guys, usually when we're younger, our main people in our lives, thank you, Lacree, for sharing about your great grandmother. A lot of those people are our parents or our grandparents. And so because we're conditioned to seek their approval when we're younger, as we get older, we tend to seek approval from others as well, whether that's a boss or, again, a mentor, or even friends sometimes. we had a family member on the chat, uh, and who's with us here tonight, share that, it was her first time sharing this opportunity with people, and one of her friends actually got offended. And so to have people that, again, you love and trust, and not to get approval from them, sometimes it can cause a little bit of insecurity within us. And of course, because of that, we don't necessarily feel safe or protected, when it comes to our emotions, or, our mindset when that happens. So um, when we internalize this negative feedback, whether that's a no, or that just rejection in general, again, sometimes it can cause us to have self-doubt occasionally, or it can cause us to question our self-worth sometimes. Ultimately, it disrupts our sense of security or our inner harmony that we're having, because again, it's conflict, and it's an uncomfortable feeling. Which, by the way, let me just backtrack. Our family member, she handled it like an amazing boss, in the aspect that even though there was rejection made in the conversation, she didn't let it affect her, which is what I want to focus on tonight. Just because, again, seeking approval from others, and having that rejection or that conflict can cause a lot of pressure and a lot of weight, because again, we're trying to figure out what it is that other people want from us. So I want you guys to know that you don't need other people's approval for you to be happy. You don't need anybody's permission to be yourself. So I just want you guys again to understand that to be truly happy, you must honor the truth of, can anybody guess what it is that you must honor the truth of? You might want to take a shot at it. I'm gonna go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The truth of you. To be truly happy, you must honor the truth of yourself. Now, what does that look like? I want you to just, you don't have to come in the chat or unmute yourself, but I just really want you to reflect on just some of the experiences that you've had, whether recently or in the past, as far as, again, what not only happiness looks like for you, but just that feeling of not necessarily needing someone else's thumbs up or pat on the back in order for you to move forward. The fact that you're able to do that by yourself. So happiness is when you feel good about yourself without feeling the need for anyone else's approval. Now, feeling confident without seeking someone else's approval means loving yourself first and knowing your own self-worth. How? So there are a couple of points that I want to go over with you guys tonight, that will demonstrate a little bit how, if you have experienced the feeling of needing somebody else's approval to move forward, that I want to show you that you don't have to, especially because with us being, in this business, whether we're just in it just to strictly learn the skill, or we're trying to share the plan, it gets stressful sometimes. I know it gets stressful for me sometimes. And so when you are looking at other people's winning trades in the chat, or you're seeing people's rank ups. I know that for me, sometimes it gets a little intimidating, and I am acknowledging that it's okay for me to feel that way just because I'm human, you know? And so I don't know if some of you guys may feel that way too, but I know that again, sometimes we tend to feel that pressure that, oh crap, like somebody, was able to take their 20 cents to $200 and they've only been with this company in, or they've only been here and I am for a couple of months and I've been here for 2 years now, or so and so is ranking up and has already hit P1000. They've only been in the business for 90 days and I've been here for 2 years. You don't need to put that burden on yourself. There's so much negativity already going on in the world outside of our doors that you don't need to add more pressure to yourself. You don't need that. And you have the choice, you have the ability to choose not to put that burden on yourself. So again, I want to go over how you're able to do that. So one, you have the ability to self-reflect. You want to become aware of your actions. Now, sometimes what that looks like, at least from what I could see and what I've experienced, is sometimes you might notice that, when you're rejected, that you start to have doubt or feel a little insecurity or uncertainty. You want to take notice as to how often you might be feeling that way. Because once you become aware of some of those actions that you might be experiencing without, consciously knowing of it prior to this call, now you know what to look for, you know. And once you become aware that you're starting to, or that you've been seeking other people's approval in order for you to move forward or to take steps to move forward, that you could begin to start healing and you could begin to start working on it. The second thing that you can do is, of course, develop a greater sense of self-worth. Now, I know that sometimes that might sound easy, but for others, it's a little bit easier said than done, you know? A lot of people tend to have negative thoughts about themselves. And I know all of you guys have seen the opportunity calls, and we got that one slide that is right at the beginning, that 85% of people's thoughts are negative. And I'm sure that not only do some of those negative thoughts include, oh, I don't want to go to my job, or oh, my kid's been crying like all night and I can't figure out, how to fix it, but they also have negative thoughts about themselves. Not necessarily in the utmost bad way, but sometimes for me, you know, I'll be practicing. I'll be practicing playing on the piano and singing, and every now and again I'll crack a note. It happens. It happens, but I can't sit here and lie to you and say, oh, like, well, that was out of the ordinary, like I'm perfect or whatever. No. Sometimes I wonder, like, dang, okay, like, what's going on? I've been singing since I was younger. Like, this isn't something that should be happening. Like, am I losing my talent? Am I losing my sauce? Like, what's going on here? Sometimes we tend to have those negative thoughts about ourselves, or some people have common thoughts about the way they look. It's something that we see in the media very, very often, that young girls are often comparing themselves to the women that they see on TV or on all of these social media platforms. So we need to figure out some steps to fix that, to develop our self-worth and to develop our confidence and just know that you're loved and you're valuable and you're worthy simply because you are, not because of the things that you say, not because of the things that you do, not because of what somebody else thinks of you or what they want you to be. You're worthy. You're valuable. You are precious. And so, again, we want to continue to work on and develop that positive self-talk and to build, our confidence up about ourselves. I can even state that, sometimes we experience waves of emotions. I know that I've expressed before that, especially for people, not just myself, but people who might get out of a bad relationship, for example, whether that's an intimate relationship with someone or a relationship with a family member or a best friend. Sometimes we tend to sink into low spaces and, you know, our our self-confidence goes down a little bit. Our self-esteem goes down a little bit. And so I know for me, that was something that I experienced getting out of a relationship where at my job, I wasn't wearing heels as much anymore. I wasn't doing my hair. I wasn't putting my makeup on, so I had to force myself to do that again, to discover, who I was again so that I can be happy, because at the end of the day, that's what's important, is your happiness. So 3, you want to understand why you're seeking approval from others. Again, as I had expressed with my college experience and seeking that approval from my mom, that was something that had developed when I was younger. And again, you have kids that they have to come to you as if we have parents on the line that come to you and ask, like, hey, is it okay for me to do this? And it's either a yes or a no from the parent. And of course, we want to seek that yes, because we want to do whatever it is that we want to do, whether that's dressing up in our princess outfit or being able to go play a video game or whatever. Um, so for most people, again, it is because we've been conditioned to seek approval from our parents. And that was something that has traveled along with us in our journey in life and has developed into our adult habits. But then there's also some people that we seek approval from because we admire them and we don't want to disappoint them. My boyfriend, he's really great at what he does when it comes to trading. And I know that sometimes there are moments, because I learned a lot of my trading skills from him because he joined IM before I did, of course, in addition to all of my other studying. But if I deviate from what he suggested would help contribute to my success, because sometimes the student will deviate from the teacher occasionally, especially when they get that confidence boost or that they get a little prideful because they've been winning a certain amount of time. If you deviate and you happen to take a lesson on something, for example, again with my boyfriend, I was doing things my own way when it came to trading, and I ended up taking a couple of lessons in my trades because I wasn't waiting for a break and retest or whatever. For example, I was afraid to tell him that, hey, I took a loss because I didn't listen. And I didn't want to disappoint him, just one, not only because I'm his girlfriend, but again, because he was teaching me something and I wasn't listening. I didn't follow the instructions that were given to me. Now, again, in that same sense, understanding why you're seeking approval from others, you also have to keep in mind, again, why are you trying to seek approval from others, but also why is it that I'm not trusting my own opinion. That's something that you have to reflect on within yourself, you know but sometimes it's also because of uncertainty, or sometimes we seek approval because we want people to like us. That usually happens a lot, when people are taking a class or going to school, or even if you're coming into a new job, you're in unfamiliar territory. And so sometimes we resort to trying to become friends with certain people and doing things that might, make them happy because we want to fit in. You don't have to fit in. I want you guys to understand that you don't have to fit in. Be you. Be you, and that will attract people to you. Number 4. With that said, in addition to being you, you have to learn to accept yourself for who you are. I want you guys to focus and just take a moment to think about things that make you happy. Just take a few moments, think about 1 to 2 things. If you're writing notes down, jot it down. Jot the things down that make you happy. Sometimes it could be challenging for us to accept all of who we are, as a person. I know that I have some bad habits and even just some physical traits that, I get a little self-conscious about. You guys, like when it comes to me modeling and stuff, for example, I get a little self-conscious about my smile because I am not satisfied with my teeth. Just being transparent with you guys. Now, does that make me any less special than anybody else or anybody that's on this call? No, it doesn't. But I accept that, that it's just part of who I am. Sometimes people don't like that they have, again, certain traits about them that, or bad habits. If it's something that you don't like, though, figure out a way to go fix it. Figure out a way to go fix it. Sometimes, again, going back into that, accepting yourself for who you are. You guys, I just want you to realize that when you start to accept yourself and you start to trust yourself and truly discover who you are, you won't need anybody else's approval. You won't need anybody else's approval because then your self-confidence will start to build up. In addition to that, stop comparing yourself to others. I know that's something that I don't want to put it out there that I'm struggling with, but it's something that I'm working on, you guys. It's something that I'm working on. Am I perfect? No. But I have learned to accept that I am unique. Nobody wants a copy of somebody else. That's boring. That's boring. Everybody that is on this planet is unique. They're even twins or triplets or quintuplets, whatever. They still each have a unique trait about them, and that's what makes them so special. Each and every one of you guys on this call, you guys are special. Accept that about yourself. Take that in. When you guys wake up in the morning, tell yourself, I am special. When you go to bed at night, tell yourself, I am special, because you are. You are. You don't need to compare yourself to Joe Schmo down the street or, you know, Cindy on IG that has 50 million followers. Everybody's journeys are different. And you don't know what they did to get to where they are, what sacrifices that they had to make to get to where they are. Focus on your journey. Focus on you. Focus on you. You have a unique purpose. You have a unique path. So follow that because it was made specifically for you. Isn't that awesome? To know that you have something that nobody else has. Nobody. Nobody on this earth, nobody in this universe, nobody who has come before you, nobody who will come after you. You have something that has been created specifically for you. Be grateful for that. I know I am. My final note on this is to, of course, practice self-love. Again, I'm sharing things with you guys that I'm still developing and that I'm learning and growing with. Because again, for those of you guys who weren't on my last call, I used to find my happiness, especially in other people. Now, don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with, making other people happy, but make sure you're happy first because you can't pour from an empty cup, right? You can't pour from an empty cup. So start with you. Make sure that your foundation is good because once you have your self-confidence up, your self-esteem up, your self-love up, your self-worth up, it'll radiate, you guys. I know you guys have seen pictures. Maybe you've even seen pictures of yourself, whether recently or in the past, where you're like, damn, I was glowing in that picture. Think about why. How were you feeling when you saw that, or when you were taking that picture? A lot of people tend to see that, especially in women or parents who were going through the process of pregnancy, just because they're excited, they feel good. Not all the time, of course, just because they're dealing with, the physical process of it all. And sometimes it could get a little bit straining, mentally and emotionally. But for the most part, people are excited about, creating something and bringing it into this world. So it's going to show. It's going to show. So practice self-love. What are some things, again, retracting back to the beginning, what are some things that make you happy? Go do that because that's a form of self-love. That's loving on yourself. It's giving yourself some care and some affection. When you feel good about yourself, it'll allow you to help others be able to do the same, whether that's directly or indirectly. Indirectly meaning that other people might see that you're, again, you're radiating with just this love, this energy, this confidence, and they want to be able to do the same thing too. So practice self-love. Now, I'm not going to take too much longer. I just want to go over a few final points. Again, just stressing how important it is to be yourself. No one can make you feel inferior without your consent, you guys. And that's why I'm focusing so much on the fact that you don't need anybody's approval to be happy. You don't need anybody else's approval to move forward in life. So again, how? Find yourself and define yourself on your own terms. Sometimes people take personality tests. There are some people who, again, will get in the habit of doing something that makes them happy. Sometimes you have to step out of your comfort zone to figure out what it is that will define you. But make sure it's on your own terms, not anybody else's, not your mom, not your dad, not your grandma, not your boyfriend, your girlfriend, not your boss, not your best friend, because they aren't living your life. You are. You are. So find yourself and define yourself on your own terms. Now, two, don't be surprised if some of your values conflict as you're on that journey of defining yourself. A lot of us go through different seasons in our lives. Now, sometimes that happens after we go through puberty and we're, or graduating from high school and entering into adulthood. And sometimes people stick with that person the rest of their life. And some people go through multiple seasons. I'm not the same person that I was 10 years ago. I'm not the same person I was 2 years ago. I'm not the same person I was when we entered into this new year. Have things changed as far as what I believe in? Yeah, but that's okay. Because every season that you experience in your life is for a reason. There are lessons, there are obstacles that we all go through that make us into a stronger person for whatever it is that we're supposed to learn during that season. People will come and go. There will be some things that have changed, whether that's taste buds, for example. Our taste buds change every 7 years. That's okay. So why can't our values change sometimes, or how our perspective on things? It's okay. Don't feel bad if you feel a different way about things than what you did 10 years ago, or when you were a teenager or younger or whatever, because you're growing. D-Pain says how you feel is how you feel, and how you feel is real. That's okay, you guys. So if you feel a certain way about something now, and it may not have been that way, years ago, months ago, 10 minutes ago, that's okay. Because you're growing and it's contributing to your journey and whatever it is that you need right now. And you guys, with that said, I don't want you guys to fixate on the past and not let yourself grow. Again, being transparent with you guys, have I made mistakes? Of course I have. I'm human. It happens. I'm learning. I'm growing. Are there things that I've done that I'm not necessarily proud of? Sure. Sure. But is that going to stop me from being a better person or making the choice to be a better person and continue to grow? No. Now, with that said, again, just focusing on our overall topic and seeking approval of others, sometimes the decisions that we make involve other people. I want you guys to know that even if other people have certain perspectives of you because of a decision, whether if it's a bad decision that you made and you've made the decision to move forward and they haven't, that's okay. leave them there with that experience and keep it moving. Don't let them inhibit you from moving forward with your growth. Don't let them stop you from being a better person. If there are mistakes that you've made personally, or maybe you experienced something that was out of your control, as long as you can acknowledge the situation, don't ignore it. Acknowledge the situation and figure out a way to come to peace with it for your own sake. That's all that matters. That's all that matters. So don't get stuck in the past, because if you're too focused on looking behind you, you're gonna run into something because you're looking back. If you're trying to move forward but you're looking back, you're gonna run into something because you're not focused on your future. So again, don't get stuck on past experiences, whether again that's mistakes or things that you've and obstacles that you've encountered. Don't let that stop you from being amazing, because you are capable of doing so. You're capable of doing amazing things and being an amazing person. Don't let anything or anyone stop you from that. In addition to that, never stop looking for your own strengths. All of us have something that we can pinpoint is one of our strengths. I want you guys to think about that, and as it comes to mind, drop it in the chat. I want to celebrate your strengths. I want to celebrate that with you, because again, I feel like sometimes we focus so much on the negative and the things that we could do better on and the things that we're not doing right, that we don't take the time to acknowledge what we're good at. I know for me, I feel like I'm a good listener. I feel like I'm a good listener. I'm really good at singing. I feel like I'm a really good friend. Now, is there room for improvement? Of course. There's room for improvement with everything, but there's nothing wrong with, acknowledging things that you're good at. Self-validation should not be looked at as a bad thing, because it's not. Having that reassurance and giving yourself that reassurance is what is going to help contribute to your growth and your self-confidence. When you could point out, yeah, like I slayed that test, or I did an amazing job at cooking that steak, or I did an amazing job in the market today. Acknowledge that. Acknowledge that and keep it going. Now, in addition to that process of being yourself, you need to find time to relax. Be honest and open with yourself. Again, for me, something that could be easier said than done sometimes, but it's something that I'm working on. Relaxing more. Ever since this quarantine started, I can honestly say I've had a lot more time to be able to relax and take some time for some self-reflection, whether that's acknowledging things that I'm good at and things that I can improve on. But relax in the aspect of, don't worry about other people's judgments. Don't worry about anything else that people might say about you. Just be you. Just be you and keep it moving. But again, as long as you're honest and open with yourself, that allows you to be honest and open with others as well. And finally, family, you want to treat yourself as you would your own best friend. Why not? You're with yourself all the time, right? I hope. I have a best friend that's back in Denver, and I love her to pieces. She has 2 little boys that are super cute and growing, and I legit would do anything for her because I love her that much, and I appreciate her support and everything that she gives me. Now, with that said, again, focusing back on me, why can't I love myself to pieces? Why can't I do anything in the world for me to make sure that I'm happy? I deserve that too, right? You guys do too. So how you guys treat your best friend, treat yourself that way too. Whether that's that loyalty or that love and that giving and everything. Again, you want to create a foundation for yourself to where you don't need anybody else's approval in order for you to be happy. Now, with that said, you guys, I just want you guys to know that you guys can maintain self-love and compassion regardless of any outside circumstances. Because again, what's happening out in the world is a reflection of what's going on in here. So if we're not, providing ourselves with self-love and self-worth and everything in here and starting with us first, then that's not going to manifest out here. So with that said, you guys, we're going to wrap up our mindset portion of our Chillin' with Saree. I am going to go ahead and stop our recording. I do hope, again, that you guys were able to find value in that, in the aspect that, again, you don't need anybody else's permission to be yourself. Be you, because when you're yourself, you're happy. You can be happy. Again, that has to be a choice that you make with yourself, though. So I love you all. Again, I appreciate you guys for being here with me tonight. And I do want to go ahead and open it up for anybody who wants to go ahead and share what's happening in their world. Again, whether positive or if you need a place to vent, go ahead and hop on the line, family.